telling the U.S. President Donald Trump, children are dying, and one quote, their blood is on your hands. A Russian athlete competing at the Pyeongchang Olympics has failed a drug test. Alex Stone reporting it could present a difficult obstacle to Russia's efforts to have its team formally reinstated.
If it does end up being a confirmed doping case, it would be the second at these games. The first was a Japanese short track speed skater who tested positive for a banned diuretic. Russian news outlets are citing a team spokesman saying one of the Olympic athletes from Russia had a preliminary positive sample. If it's confirmed to be doping, it could hurt Russia's chances of being reinstated in these Olympics. Russia was banned from competing because of doping. Right now, its athletes are competing under a neutral Olympic flag.
In other Olympic news, another bronze medal for Canada today, with Quebec City freestyle skier Alex Beaulieu-Marchand finishing third in the men's slopestyle. Send your tips and your photos to your story at CJAD.com. Looks like we've just reached our high today. Mainly sunny this afternoon. We have some cloudiness coming in near midnight. Low of -5 overnight. Tomorrow, mix of sunny cloud. The high +5 degrees. Some rain at night and a low of +3. Tuesday and Wednesday, rain and a high of 5 degrees for both. Currently, we are at 1 degree downtown. I'm Andrew Brennan. Next update, 1:30. Breaking news as it happens. News Talk Radio, CJ 8800.
To track the news, your favorite shows, and our latest contests. Easy to find. Just search for CJAD 800.
The opinions expressed in the following program are provided for general information purposes only and should not be construed as advice from CJAD 800 or Bell Media. Listeners should always consult their own real estate agent with questions or concerns. The following is sponsored content.
Hello, welcome to the Real Estate Show featuring Decarie Kilakos, President of Northeast Mortgage Associates, Chantal Desjardins. You're live every Sunday here on CJAD 1 to 2 p.m. We're also live streaming on Facebook, which we're checking out right now. It's crisp. Is that what we've decided the video is crisp right now?
Yeah.
Crispy.
Crisp, like coffee crisp?
Then they can see how svelte you're looking.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
One, you're eating no carbs ever anymore. No fun, Terry, is what we call you.
Except for last night, but
yeah, what was last night about? I saw you in like a James Bond tuxedo.
you should have seen the Aston Martin outside. And there's nothing like an Aston Martin on black ice, let me tell you.
Oh, I bet. I wouldn't know. How was it? What were you doing?
It was very good. Actually, I was there with Luciano Pipia. That's why, I'm wondering why he's actually not here today because, I left at 1 a.m.
Yeah, and he was still there. He was dancing on tables.
There, yeah. So, it was the Friends for the Cure Gala, which is hosted. He's the MC on it every year, and it's amazing. Anyways, the proceeds go to cancer research, and
they raised a ton of money, right?
They did. Yesterday they raised $350,000. There was over 800 people there, and it was at Le Madison. Amazing. Amazing event. Yeah.
It's very fun. Thanks for the invite. It's okay. I don't like going to fancy balls.
Well, actually, we did invite you, but
did you really?
from what I remember correctly, I think you were out of town or something.
Oh, well, I was out of town, and I guess I just forgot about the invite, so I take it back. Let's just move on to the topic. If you have any questions for Terry, give us a call today at 514-790-0800 or text us at 514-800. And you get a lot of texts and calls after the show, right? Then people can reach you all the time at 514-680-4674. Today is a topic that I like because, well, it involves me. Getting a mortgage when you are self-employed. A lot of our listeners work for themselves, as do I. As a result, getting approved for a mortgage can be tricky.
You think?
Can be very tricky. When you have Terry in your life, everything is just better. I think that's how it works, right?
Possibly.
Now,
it's debatable.
Today's show might rub a few people the wrong way. Is that fair to say? Accountants, business owners who are trying to pay as little tax as possible.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something to these people
like
before we start?
A disclaimer before we start? Yeah. This is, no accountants were hurt in the making of this broadcast.
Right. Fair enough. Why do you think it's so important to discuss this today?
Okay, so first of all, we live in Quebec, and Quebec as a whole I think it's like the capital in the world of self-employed people. I mean, the amount of self-employed people that exist in this province, it's insane.
And it keeps growing, right? Like
It
more
really
and more
does.
of my friends, even
It
in
really
the
does,
in the
yeah.
media industry, are working for themselves for the company. but-
Absolutely, absolutely. And self-employed people, I mean, it covers everyone, right? People that are in the media, like you said, taxi drivers, Uber drivers. You look at people that work at Bombardier, people that work at CAE, people that work at, all these large engineering firms. A lot of them are contract workers, right? Or they're going to be self-employed. And it doesn't matter how much. Oh, that was my phone. You like my fancy, sorry, I get squirrel.
Yeah.
Sorry, get distracted.
Maybe it's somebody with a message.
There you go. I just muted it.
Good.
There, done. Anyways, so what ends up happening is there's all kinds of self-employed people in Quebec and in Canada as a whole, and they could be making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but unfortunately, they're not declaring the revenues the way that they're supposed to be
Right.
able to qualify for mortgages. And this is one of the main problems right now. Once upon a time, there used to be programs that were designed for self-employed people. But as the government started to tighten up mortgage rules and change things, these programs started to become, the way of the dinosaur, right? So
Right.
they're long gone. And there is some programs still that exist, but it has to make sense. And you got to structure yourself properly when you're putting together a program like this. When someone is self-employed and applies for a mortgage, they have to be structured properly. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Right, exactly.
So-
And you're self-employed, right?
I'm self-employed.
So
So are
this is
you.
perfect,
So
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's something that comes up almost on a weekly basis. I will have 2, 3, 4 new clients that'll come in through the door. They're wanting to buy their first house, and we look at the numbers and we're like,
Yeah, how are we going to do this?
yeah.
Now, how'd you buy your first house or your house?
I actually declare my revenues.
Oh, that's a good way to start, I guess. It'd be bad if you were the one that wasn't doing it. Now, does the lender qualify you on your gross income or your net income that you declare? Because that's a question that I think a lot of people get confused about.
Yeah, so it's this huge misconception, right, that self-employed people have, and it just this week, right? So I had this guy. He comes in, and he's probably listening because I told him to make sure to listen to this week's show because it's going to revolve around him a little bit. But anyways, he comes in. He goes, he had a job, right? So he was working at a place, and last year he decided to quit his job because he opted to go and work with Uber, which would pay him a lot more money,
Okay.
right? So he works as an Uber driver. And he actually makes more money driving an Uber than he does working at his job.
Okay.
So he was very excited. He was like, "Oh my God, it's amazing! I have this job, and it pays me so much more, and I have all this free time, and
All this
my
extra
life
cash.
is all this extra cash, and my life is so much better, and blah 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 blah." And he's going on and on, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like,
You're
because
just
I
like,
know
red
where this is
flag.
going,
Yeah.
right? And then I go to him, "Okay, great." I said, "So you're making like 40, 50K a year. How much are you declaring?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, how much after your accountant is done writing off everything?
Exactly.
What's your bottom line?" "Well, I don't know." "But that doesn't matter. I mean, what's important is what I make, what I
Exactly.
gross."
No.
It's not what you gross that counts. It's what you net, right? And it's a little counterintuitive because, when you're working, when you got a job,
Yeah.
right, and you're working at a job and, your gross annual income is 60,000 and you're netting after taxes and everything 30,000 or 35,000 or whatever you're going to be netting, the bank is not going to look at the 30 or 35,000. They're not going to look at the net after taxes. What they're going to look at is the gross before taxes.
Yeah.
So people automatically think, well, when I apply for a mortgage, the bank is going to look at my gross. It's not the case. They're going to look at after your deductions are done, what's your net before taxes.
And so many, freelancers, maybe like me, we're a little less organized. I'm not super organized, so that's the biggest difference I noticed. That if it wasn't
The
for
government is listening.
If it wasn't for someone like you, it's putting me back in order, But you need to be organized because eventually, when you want to get a mortgage,
Yeah,
if you don't do it, you can be like,
absolutely.
right out of luck.
And we have on Facebook Live, we actually have a question: what happens when you only declare dividends? And this is we're going to get into it a little bit later on in the show about the different forms of revenue that you can have when you're a self-employed person. But to kind of like tease it a little bit, it's 2 years of proof that you're declaring dividends.
Wow.
Right. So if you just get into a job and you're starting to pull dividends, the bank's going to be like, great, you made dividends this year, but what's it going to be like next year?
Right.
So they want to see a track record when you're self-employed.
And now just quickly, if you don't declare a lot, but then you were going to put down a bigger down payment,
Yeah.
does that work?
So there is programs, like I said, that, for example, when you're buying a condo, the minimum down payment is 5%. There's a program for self-employed people where you could put 10% down and you as a minimum. There's rules. We'll get into it after the traffic break because we are coming up to traffic and I'm hitting my microphone here. I'm going to end up like headbutting it soon. But anyways,
Breaking it again.
Breaking it. But yeah, I think we'll get into it after traffic. But I mean, there is a way of putting a larger down payment to secure it, but it has to make sense.
Okay.
Because then the government is going to come back and they're going to say to you, excuse me, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, how do you afford this $1 million house or this, $600,000 or $700,000 house with a $20,000 a year income?
Right? Something's not adding up.
Exactly.
That's the voice of Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages and Chartered Mortgage Broker. Myself, Chantal Desjardins, here on The Real Estate Show. You can reach Terry anytime at 514-680-4674. Or if you have questions for him now, give us a call, 514-790-0800, or text us, 514-800, or go to the Facebook page, Terry Kilakos, and you can see him looking svelte after losing how many pounds?
Like 16?
16 pounds.
Come
you
on,
can
not
only see
bad.
it on Facebook. It looks good. In the meantime, let's go take a look at the...
We have a stalled vehicle which is on
16
Lawrence
pounds,
Road.
Terry.
Yeah.
Woo!
We're in the left-hand lane, so
That
it's
is-
backing you up to Henri
So do you want me to
Bourassa.
touch on that a little bit more then? So you can...
About a 5-10 minute delay. And,
The bigger down
elsewhere,
we can go into it.
There's a couple of slowdowns, but all in all, it's not too bad. So right now, if you're on the westbound Met, there's some very minor
Everyone can hear you
slowdowns off and
guys?
on from
Excellent.
Decarie. The Met eastbound is moving. Decarie north, a little bit busy. Plymouth down to the top, and Decarie south only seeing a little bit of a slowdown in Turcotte. 15 north has a more significant delay between Atwater and Turcotte, and that is due to all those ramp closures in the Turcotte interchange. There's a lot of them. There's only 3 available ramps, Decarie south and 20 east onto the 15 south and 15 north onto Decarie north. You still have that closure until tomorrow morning as well.
Is it a hot mic?
On the westbound Ville-Marie.
They can hear us?
Yeah,
They sure
no.
can.
You know what? I'm wondering, can I, like, when we're on break, should I be able to swear? Because anyone that actually knows me knows that
Knows that you're a swearer?
you lower
that speaker a bit?
Oh, sure.
Just a bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
Better?
Yeah.
Yeah, much.
Was it blasting in your ears?
Yeah, it's just we were only hearing this.
Oh, no.
So, was that the advice your accountant gave you as well, to declare the least amount possible as a freelancer?
Well, it has been brought up by various accountants throughout my career that it would be beneficial to, my accountant is obviously very good, so, we do whatever's supposed to do, but like I have a lot of freelance friends that obviously like the thing is to, declare as little as possible so that you can, write out, pay the least, but like, but that's, trying to.
You know what the thing is that obviously you don't want to pay taxes. You don't want to pay more taxes than you have to.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you have to remember that there's a way to structure things where you can mitigate the taxes and still declare revenues. So, for example, if you we'll get into it, but if you end up, I don't know, let's say you need to declare 40,000, but you want a taxable income of 30.
Yeah.
Dump $10,000 in your RSP.
Yeah,
that
totally.
drops your, you know what I mean, and you still have that money. So there's a lot of ways of structuring things. It's just a matter of getting it done.
Right.
But, anyways.
That makes sense.
I can't, I have like 97 Facebook accounts?
Do you really?
Yeah, I have too many. I have like 7. But I can't seem to log out of it. This like browser is from like 2004. And so I can't log out. I need one of my tech guys. How about the 2 cute tech kids in the corner? Guys, you know how to
Hey guys, you want to be on Facebook?
I need
Go
you to,
help.
like-
Go help Chantal.
Just log me out of this. Log me out of this sucker. So usually to log out, you just go like this, but now it just like clicks on it and it doesn't give me like a log out. I hear you. I mean it.
Maybe it's this and that.
Just don't have to go to the clinic now.
Clinic.
What? No, you can't. Oh, you can't
do
do
it.
it.
Able to go like this, right?
Oh.
And then you go log out. Whereas now, this is so old.
Oh my gosh. What's wrong? What's wrong with you?
Maybe this. Nothing's going on. Maybe this one.
Okay, I gotta promo the.
Gotta promo the what? That's alright, thanks. High fives. High fives. Terry?
The
Or
YouTube.
Mara?
Yep.
I want to log out of this Facebook so I can log into
I think we're gonna
one
be back on the
one that's working that I can.
Let me put it back on the regular mic.
Hi, I'm Carol, and we love that you love to cook. But there's times when you can't, and you need to save time. There's Bessie here. No need to shop or prep, nothing to add, no unnecessary waste, and no contacts when you're BONCBON.com.
Good music today. I like it. Terry Kilakos and the air guitar. Check it out on Facebook Live every Sunday here
There's
on
no
CJAD.
air guitar.
Yeah, but you were about to get into it. It's just
Yeah, I was like grooving it.
you were starting to chair dance.
Yeah.
Let's do a little. Let's talk about the YouTube channel.
Okay, so right now everything's being broadcast live.
Yeah.
Right on Facebook Live.
Right.
As we've been doing every week. We also put it on our YouTube channel afterwards.
Right.
Obviously, for anyone that misses what the silliness that goes on in here.
Or just wants to see it again.
Exactly. So what I'd like for everyone to do that's listening, you're going to go to newsonthego.ca, and that's going to take you directly to my YouTube channel. And then from there, you can actually subscribe. Now, in a couple of weeks, what we're going to do is we're going to have a giveaway. So people that are going to be subscribed to our channel are going to be eligible to receive some of this.
Terry is holding a giant wad of cash.
Okay. So if you're interested in getting some of this, what you're going to do is you're going to subscribe, and we're going to be giving out $100 not per person, sorry. We're going to be giving out $300, okay, in a couple of weeks. And it's going to be $100 per person that's going to win, so 3 people. And it's going to be fun.
Cool.
And we'll do it on air. So, but
that is great.
To qualify, you got to subscribe. So newsonthego.ca, get on there, subscribe to our channel, and in a couple of weeks we'll have a draw.
Very cool. Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages. Myself, Chantal Desjardins. If you have questions for Terry, give us a call, 514-790-0800, or text us at 514-800. Now, we started to talk about this before the break. If you're not going to declare a lot, but you can put down a bigger down payment, this can still work.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's start with the insured programs. Right. So Genworth. So there's 3 insurers in Canada. Sorry, I'm fiddling here in case people are wondering on Facebook Live why I have my hands under the table and they're moving around weirdly.
This is my kind of show, Terry.
My headset was disconnecting. Anyways. Okay. So on the insured side, okay, so there's 3 insurers in Canada. There's CMHC, Genworth, and Canada Guarantee. So CMHC has basically opted out of this program because they're government backed. They don't want to support people that are not declaring their revenues.
Right.
Okay. So Genworth, which is one of the insurers, has a program that basically, with 10% down, you would be able to use that to buy your first property, to buy a property. Maximum number of units is a duplex, and it's an I Declare program. But the I Declare program has to make sense. So, for example, if you're declaring $20,000 a year and you need $30,000 to qualify, and your numbers make sense. So, in other words, the bank is going to ask you for your company financial statements. If the company financial statements are at a loss, they're going to be like, no, sorry, you don't qualify.
Right.
But if they're positive and you're declaring a profit and it makes sense, then you can go for it. So I'll give you a simple kind of example. Let's say you have a job that pays a very kind of, the typical person that does that job maybe makes $40,000 a year doing it.
Sure.
And you're self-employed and you decide that you're going to use the I Declare program, and on the I Declare program you say that you make $70,000 a year, it ain't gonna fly. Because they know exactly how much someone doing that job is supposed to earn, and it has to make sense within that program, within within that job profile. So that's that. But you have to understand that these types of positions and these types of programs are very difficult to actually qualify for. So your credit has to be good. For anyone that has listened to the show long enough, you guys know that there's 3 elements that are looked at, right? So your credit, your income, and your down payment. And these 3 elements work in conjunction with one another. So if there's weakness on one side, so in this example, the weakness is coming from the income, then your down payment and your credit needs to support it. It needs to be stronger. Okay? So, with that said, the important thing is that we end up, sorry, I'm just looking at my text here that they're coming in. Olympia said, can you say my name? So Olympia, there you go.
Terry does not get distracted easily at all.
I so get distracted, but anyways. So it's important that, those programs are wonderful, but what actually makes a lot more sense, instead of having to rely on programs like that, how about you actually declare more revenues, right? And then you can actually offset those revenues by doing other things, buying RSPs, doing,
Right, because it's a kind of a scary idea. It's like, it seems counterintuitive to say I'm gonna declare more than I need to. Like, even we just got a text from John saying, then I would have to pay more taxes. Why would I do that? That's why I'm self-employed. But you're saying that it can work out in your benefits because you can offset it in other ways.
Yeah, exactly. So either you're going to pay more taxes, okay, or when you apply for a mortgage, you're not going to get approved, right? Or you're going to have to pay silly amounts of money to someone to fudge your documents, which there's a ton of people that they come to see us and they're like, can you make
this go away?
Can you make this work? And I look at them and I'm like, no. This is not the business that we're in. I'm sure a lot of people out there that will
in back rooms.
Yeah, in back rooms, and they'll do stuff like that. We don't do that. Right. And what ends up happening is these self-employed people are willing to pay people, these shady characters, $5,000, $10,000 to get their deal done. Instead of doing that, for God's sakes, just declare your revenues.
Exactly.
And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Think about it. If you don't declare revenues and you end up buying a house, what ends up happening is the government's going to come back to you and they're going to say, hold on a second, how can you afford this home? How can you afford the car you're driving with a $20,000 a year income, or, $13,000 or whatever, because accountants want to get you to that poverty line, which
right,
is
exactly. A lot of people, a lot of accountants would like that for their clients.
We'll
get into more about getting a mortgage when you are self-employed, including whether you'd recommend paying yourself a salary and paying deductions at the source. We will do that coming up after this. That is the voice of Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages. You can reach him anytime at 514-680-4674.
The Real Estate Show is brought to you by Northeast Mortgages.
Ken Connors from Matelas Dauphin. Did you know they're one of Quebec's largest mattress manufacturers? That's right, they are. They build them here, and that's their strength. They build these exceptional quality mattresses at unbeatable prices with an unbeatable guarantee, too. And to celebrate the opening...
Okay, Mike is hot.
Mike is hot? Mike is hot, baby.
Who's Mike? See what I did there?
Boom.
I'll be around all day. All day.
Have the fish.
So what else? What else do you have to tell us that behind the scenes?
So, I mean, this is not a show right now that, you know, we're doing to kind of upset accountants or to kind of like, you know, make people kind of ticked off at, you know, I'm not pro Revenue Quebec and, you know, Revenue Canada. What I am pro is common sense.
Right.
Right? So you have to use common sense. As a self-employed person, it's important to understand that, yes, there's, how can I say it? Yes, there's a need to save taxes, but at the same time, there's a need to be able to live and buy a house and do this and do that. And you can't do both.
No.
You need to kind of find a happy medium.
Sure.
That's, you know,
yeah,
that's the
because
point
even
of
if
it.
you're saving money now by like claiming less, you want to buy a house, then you just kind of like.
And Revenue Quebec does a lot of lifestyle audits now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
Know?
You know, so do yourself a favor and you know, do it right the first time, and then you just put yourself in a good spot.
My my accountant a couple of years ago, he was like, you know, you're the first client that I have that actually wants to pay taxes.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, but you don't understand. I own real estate.
Yeah.
You know?
You know.
I own real estate. It doesn't make sense for me to not declare revenues.
Yeah, for sure.
And yes, okay, the government allows you to do deductions here, deductions there, and strip away things.
Yeah.
But, come on.
Do you have your headphones super loud, or is that these ones?
Yeah.
Yeah? You just blast them?
No, I can't seem to control the. No, it's not these ones. Actually.
No.
Oh, it's okay. I was trying to help. He's our tech guy. No,
I think it's these ones that are blasting. It's not these. That's it.
There we go.
Come, Anthony.
Come. Do a
All right,
trick.
guys.
What do you guys do?
So in Facebook land, check it out. So this is Alexander.
Hi, Alexander.
Okay? Hi. Yeah. What do you want to tell the people in Facebook world?
I don't know.
Actually, you're on Facebook as well. You're going to be on YouTube, so.
Tell us about your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So subscribe to my channel. It's Ballistical Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all I need to say.
All right.
You post some fun things, right? So, like what, gaming?
Yeah. Well, what kind of stuff do you post?
Do you cook or you're a baker?
I post like anything.
Yeah. And you have an assistant, I think, on the channel that helps you out every so often, right?
Yeah.
What's his name?
My brother's name is Anthony.
And this is Anthony right here. See? So these two crazy guys, they yeah.
They what?
What do you guys do? So you do some gaming and stuff like that on
yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. What's the channel called, Anthony?
Ballistical Channel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
guys.
cute.
Yeah.
Pretty cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost makes me want to have kids.
Almost.
Almost. All right. So
Olympia says, "Hey Anthony, hey Alexander, hi Marav." She doesn't say
what
hi
about
Chantal.
me?
She didn't say anything about
Olympia?
Chantal. Yeah. She's actually told me that she's not too fond of you.
No, she didn't. That is impossible. I am charming.
Right.
Right? If I can't figure out how to log out of Facebook here.
Try using Chrome.
Yeah, but it's still on this other one, the Internet Explorer, so it'll just be there forever.
Let me see what's happening.
Right? I just need to log out.
I wonder what's happening with Luciano right now, because he's like...
We're going to get a big night.
Yeah, I bet you he's still sleeping.
Using a version that isn't supported by...
So how do I log out of Facebook if it's not supported by Facebook?
Hey, look at this.
Hey.
We got a couple of subscribers.
Hey, that's
Bill
cool.
Papadopoulos.
Hi, Bill.
And
Totally
Trilima 85.
I know.
What the heck?
Sweet.
Oh my god, you really screwed that
I
one up.
know. Well, I didn't know that. What do we do?
I have no fucking clue. I've never seen Facebook not want to log you out. Okay, let's try and update this browser thing.
I thought I tried to do it, but it sends you to like Mozilla or whatever.
Yeah, it wants to use a different...
Which is fine, but like, I still am logged in on this one. So Terry,
done
next
with
you...
the news. There wasn't much happening.
Oh no, it's a slow Sunday.
Oh yeah.
The biggest news story is I won't be able to log out of my Facebook ever.
Oh wow, that's insane. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna delete
Maybe,
the cookies.
Okay, yeah, do that.
We'll do
That's
that.
a good idea.
I'm smart.
You're smart.
I'm
Internet
so
options.
smart.
Super smart. Are we live right now? Is that what's happening?
No, they're not. History.
There you go.
History. Passwords. Let's
Yeah,
delete
that's
those
good,
passwords, baby.
Marav is our tech guy.
I do have an engineering degree, but hey.
Yeah, that's what
Do
I was
you
gonna say. Something
Yeah.
that people don't realize about Marav,
that's
she's not only
interesting.
beautiful,
Oh
but
my.
she
I wanna
also
suck up.
has a
What a
bachelor's in
suck up.
computer engineering. Yeah.
Look at
And-
still in there. You're an engineer.
What did she do?
She's like, it's okay. I'm an engineer. Let me handle this. Bloop bloop bloop, and
Okay.
bam, she couldn't log me
But
out.
she is a Quebec. No, sorry. I
That is terrible.
Didn't
didn't
mean
say
it.
that. I didn't
If
mean
you have
that.
I'll
any,
come back
I didn't mean that.
after.
everyone that has a problem
Forget I
with his
said that.
engineering comments can go over to northeastmortgages.ca and send him a little note.
I'm just gonna be
I think the
pissing off
speaker,
accountants.
You might
and
want to put it up
everyone.
just a bit to know when we're back.
How much?
Yeah, that's
it.
good.
Good?
That's good.
That's
Put
very
it up. You know what? You know what this
I'm
is?
demanding.
You know what this is?
What?
This is like our thermostat at the house.
Put it up,
Okay.
put it down.
It's too loud. Put it down. So you put it down.
And
It's
then
too low.
I
Put
get
it up.
it.
And it's like the same thing like the thermostat. It's too
Right.
hot. It's too cold. It's this. It's
Ah,
that.
women can't live with them. Can't live without them.
No,
right?
I can't live with them.
My
Okay.
Oh,
question
you're
is,
back. You're back.
you know
Stop
what I
talking.
want to know is if
Okay, you're back. You're back.
Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages.
I think he threw out his hip there, doing the dance in the We're live every Sunday here on CJAD 1 to 2 for the Real Estate Show. We're streaming live on Facebook. You can see all the action that you're not. You can only imagine what it looks like when Terry plays the air guitar.
Yeah.
We're talking about getting a mortgage when you're self-employed. If you have any questions for us on the topic or anything else, give us a call, 514-790-0800, or text us at 514-800. Now, we were talking before the break about whether you would recommend paying yourself a salary and paying deductions at the source. Is that a good idea?
Well, I mean, there's different strategies, right, for everyone. The thing that you also have to remember, you are self-employed. Right? So even if you pay yourself a salary, the bank is still going to say, great, you're paying yourself. We need to see 2 years average.
Right.
Okay. At the end of the day, the bank will always, when you're self-employed, whether you're getting a salary, you're paying deductions at source, whether you're getting dividends, whatever it is, income you're making from your company, they're going to want to see a track record because they want to make sure that it's consistent. The silly thing is, and, you know, Olympia has a whole bunch of comments here, but, you know, I love Olympia. And Olympia, if she was to go and apply for a mortgage, she's works for us, right? So when she applies for a mortgage, she comes to us and says, I need a letter of employment and a pay stub. And we hand her her letter of employment. She has her pay stub, and she applies for a mortgage, and she gets the mortgage. It's as simple as that.
Sounds easy.
It doesn't go any further. When a self-employed person, so for example myself, when I go and apply for a mortgage, what has to happen is something short of a, you know, colonoscopy here we're talking about, right? You know,
Wow.
It's bank funded. Anyways, yeah, exactly. Financial colonoscopy. It's the thing is that they're going to want to see the track record. So they're going to want to see my 2 years notice of assessment, regardless of whether or not I have a company and the company, you know, has profits and I pay myself a salary and I pay deductions at source and I have all that stuff.
All the right things.
All the right things. They still want to see that I've been consistent for the last couple of years. So they're going to want to see 2 years notice of assessment. The next thing that they're going to want to see is they're going to want to see my company financial statements to make sure that the company is profitable.
Right.
And it's going to continue. So it's it's silly.
It's just complicated. It's so much
It
more
really
complicated.
is. It really is. You know, unfortunately, you know, once upon a time, it was very easy for self-employed people to get a mortgage. It was literally, you know, I've said this before. The first client that I had as a broker was myself.
Right.
Right. I had just gotten into the industry, and I remember when I applied for the mortgage, the bank literally, they said to me, "How much do you think you're going to make this year?" This was the question, and I was like, "I don't know, 45, 50,000." And they're like, "Okay, write it on a piece of paper." And I sat there and I said, "I, Terry Kilakos, will be earning between $40,000 to $50,000 a year." I think I had to be exact. I think I put 50. And for, you know, signed it, and there you go. That was an auto declaration, and it worked. This is the way it used to be. It is not like that anymore. People need to, you know, be, you know, get with the times, if you will. Right? So it's important, especially for first-time home buyers, there's a lot of opportunities for you. So declare more revenue, put more money in your RSP to offset that revenue. Instead of, you know, I have self-employed people, they come in, they see me, they've got, you know, $15,000 sitting in a savings account, they have another $15,000 sitting in a TFSA, another $20,000 sitting in a mattress somewhere. Instead of doing that, and they have no money in RSPs, and they want to buy their first house. Well, when you're buying your first house, you're able to use $25,000 out of your RSPs. So why don't you take advantage of that?
Exactly.
Declare more revenues, give your accountant a heart attack, right? And then dump a whole bunch of money into your RSP to offset that income that you just declared. And then everyone's happy. The government's happy, you're happy, and the bank is happy. You know?
The voice of Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages. Did you have something else to add there? I stepped all over you with I train wrecked you. But it's only because I was so excited because Liz just sent in a text message and I wanted to get it.
All right, let's do it.
Just, how much do you charge for a consultation? Are mortgage rules different for someone who wants to flip a house?
Okay, yes. So we don't charge anything. Okay, so our services are free. Always.
You have to laugh at your jokes.
Yes, you do have to laugh at my jokes. And for anyone that has the misfortune of sitting with me for any extended period of time, they know that my jokes do not get any funnier than this.
No, I know. We've known each other a long time. And
yeah, exactly. No. So this is what you see is what you get. So yeah, our services are free. The only time that we ever charge for mortgages, if it's, you know, if we're talking about commercial transactions, you know, for not even multi-units, because a lot of times even the multi-unit properties, we try and squeeze them in without having any kind of fees in there. But I'm talking about purely commercial properties. Then there's fees involved. But for, you know, properties that are residential, we don't charge, even if you're flipping. So flippers are under the same thing. Now, if you're self-employed and you're flipping, could be very complicated. So it's important that we sit down and we plan things properly before we actually you go into it.
Right. Any questions for Terry right now? 514-790-0800 or text us 514-800. Now, how does a typical business owner's credit bureau look, would you say?
Disastrous.
Oh, that good, eh?
So think about a typical business owner.
Right.
Okay? So when you go and you open up a business, you need credit, right? But banks don't like self-employed people. So what are they going to do is, you know, once upon a time, you would incorporate a company so that you cannot be liable for what that company does. That's kind of
if it all goes belly up, right?
Yeah, exactly. So now banks, what they'll do is they're going to say, great, you want to incorporate your company. That's fantastic. Good for you. You're still liable for any debt that your company incurs because you personally signed for this debt. And the majority of times, what the bank is going to do is they're going to slap it on your credit bureau. So you're essentially a co-signer for the debt that your company has. Now, the amount of times that I have clients come in and they're applying for a mortgage and they've declared decent revenues and everything is good, and then we get to the point where we check the credit, what ends up happening is I see, you know, car payment, credit card, this, that, and they're like, oh yeah, but that's not mine. What do you mean that's not yours? Well, it's my company's credit card, so it's my company who pays it. And this is a company car, so it's for the company. That has nothing, but it's on your credit bureau. And the minute it's on your credit bureau, you're responsible for it. So those payments that are related to that will impact your buying power.
And so many people don't know that.
No,
that's
they
crazy.
Really don't. Yeah,
that is so crazy.
And think about it, right? So let's take it one step further. So your accountant, let's say you make $50,000, right? let's use 100, okay, to keep numbers.
We're having a good year, everybody.
There you go. You're making 100 grand a year. You have $15,000 a year. Let's call it 20 again to keep the numbers simple. You have $20,000 a year of car payments, right? You have, because you have a truck for your construction business, I don't know, whatever. Okay, so you've got $20,000 a year of payments for that. Plus you've got credit cards, an operating line, a whole bunch of different things. All in all, those payments are, call it $30,000, $40,000. Okay, so you've made 100. Those payments come out. Now you're down to 60. Right? Your accountant has removed those things from your income. When you go to the bank, with the bank, let's say you've actually netted 60. So you're like, woohoo, I'm good. I'm reporting my income. I've listened to Terry. Okay? I'm reporting 60,000. What the bank is going to say is, wow, great. You made $60,000. But you have a car payment and you have this and you have, they don't look at the fact that it was already paid from the top.
Right.
They're going to say you've made 60, so now we're going to start deducting. And now they're going to subtract 40,000 from that 60.
Wow.
Yeah. And actually they're going to run it through your GDS TDS calculation.
Yeah.
And then they're going to subtract it. And in the end you're going to be left with a big fat zero for your income. Right? So you got to be smart when you're setting up your things.
Right.
Right? And you got to make sure that, again, I always say, if you're self-employed, if something is a little kind of like on the iffy side and you have questions,
ask somebody.
Yeah, pick up the phone, give us a call. You know, we have a lot of people, especially this time of year, you know, tax season is right around the corner. So people call us and they want to know how to structure things.
And give Terry a call at Northeast Mortgages anytime at 514-680-4674, or we're getting texts now at CJD at 514-800, or call us at 514-790-0800. We'll answer your calls live on the air. For now, let's take a look.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to this guy that sent the text also. Why would I have to pay more taxes if I don't need to?
Sure.
This is why I'm self-employed. I'd like to just expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Just because I remember there was a client that had come in one time. This was, actually, it wasn't, if it was one time I heard it, I would be like, whatever, it was just kind of a goofy client that said it. I heard it often, and people will say to me, well, I want to structure things like, I want to get a line of credit on my house, I want to do this, I want to do that, because I don't need credit in the future, because there's certain ways of structuring debt that actually impacts your credit.
Right.
And anyways, whatever.
Okay, and we just got a text. Hi, Chantal and Terry, I'm 25. What do you think rate will be next year? I'm planning to buy a condo next year, but I want to have my max cash down possible. JJ. So
John.
if you want to, so we'll start with John's tax thing, because we get that a lot. And that would make more sense, right? You want to pay the least amount possible, like in your head. You're like, well, I'm self-employed. Try to deduct as much as possible, only claim, some amount. But, just got another text.
Hi, Terry, I own a house. I have about $150,000 equity in the house. I make $80,000 a year from my wife makes about $30,000. We are looking to buy a second property, a house to rent out. We have about $40,000 cash to put down. Do you think we would have a problem getting a mortgage of about $200K?
Do you want a pen to calculate?
No, it would work. It would work. It depends on what the mortgage is on the first one, but it would work. No problem.
No problem.
Thank you.
Marav, I think it worked. I think you
Really? Did I fix it?
Because
so I deserve my degree?
You deserve your degree. Did you ever work in engineering?
Yeah, for 10 years.
That's where we met each other.
No.
Yeah.
Look, you vlogged it out. Woo! What was that?
In the garbage.
That was not in the garbage. That was straight in my head.
Yeah.
Cool.
Worked. Perfect.
Nice work. So you
I
guys
know.
met.
Let's call Terry.
Yeah,
hey, we have a caller too.
Crazy. And then you decide you fell madly in love.
Chantal,
Yes, sir.
We have a caller too.
We do.
We have a down payment
caller,
question.
then.
Mohammed.
Okay.
We'll start with the caller, then we'll go to the text, because we don't have a lot of time.
Okay.
Yeah. Call me.
Sorry, I
today.
don't mean to be bossy or
I
anything.
like it. I like when
This
you boss
guy?
me around. I need
Yeah?
more bossies.
This guy.
Another one, eh? The texts are just flying in now.
Yeah, because
See
you
the
finally
satisfied?
gave the number.
Woo!
I'm not nice, eh?
That is just, you're feisty. I like that. I like a feisty. Don't make me bring you on the air. I will bring you on the air.
You sound like my mother.
Taking my mom to Nashville for 5 days between shows, and gonna take her to go see Vince Gill. He's her favorite. I don't know if you guys are country. I feel like you're not country
No,
listeners.
not at all.
No. I love me some country. When I was growing up, I thought the best job in the entire world would have been the morning show.
You lived in like farmland,
if
no?
Shania Twain wanted to hook up with me, I'd be all over country.
Okay,
Shania Twain and I did hook up.
Really?
No, we didn't.
Really?
She's not my
Wow.
type.
Okay.
Yeah. If I could think of one of her songs, I would try to make a joke out of it. I never know. Are we live? Is our audio
The
live?
mic's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody just heard
So I
that.
just said I hooked up with the Shania Twain.
Yeah. Everyone
What did
knows
she sing? These
about
boots
your.
are made for what? Give me something that she. Whose bed have your boots been
Oh, that's not
under?
Shania Twain.
Whose heart did you steal?
Man, I feel like a woman.
That, she sang that one too. Feel like thunder,
Wow, guys, stick to your day jobs.
Who did you want to?
That's not Shania Twain.
That is. Who else would that be?
Can someone tell us who
It's
that
for
is?
sure. All right.
Hey Terry, what should one do to have business?
You're back,
started?
guys. You're back.
We're back, guys. Okay, so we'll. It's Terry Kilakos' company, but that's okay.
Oh, come
that's
on.
okay. But we're talking about getting a mortgage when you're self-employed, for all of us, from my level to Terry's level and every level in between. Let's see where Mohammed's
terrible.
level is. Mohammed's
Hey,
on the
Mohammed,
phone.
how are
He's
you?
got a down payment question.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Very interesting program.
Thank you.
Yeah. What is the minimum payment the bank requires without getting to know my annual income?
Doesn't exist.
I know if I want to buy the cash, but I'm saying, can I pay $70% or 50%
So
and get the balance as a mortgage?
So yes, there is equity programs available. Okay, so there's programs for self-employed people that if you're putting 35% down, it's looser with the bank, and definitely if you're putting 50% down payment, then it becomes even looser with the banks.
Okay.
However, regardless of how much your down payment is, the bank will always want to see your notice of assessment. Okay, and the reason why they want to see your notice of assessment is to make sure that you don't owe any money to the government. So one of the rules, which is very clear, that was put in place a few years back, if you owe anything to the to the government, it could be $1,000, it could be $2,000, doesn't matter how much it is, it could be $500. They will not give you the financing until that money's paid off. So they want to make sure that they're going to want to see your notice of assessment to make sure that you don't owe the money. Now, the interesting thing is, even if you're putting 50% down, if that notice of assessment is at a negative, which it does happen every so often, we'll see a notice of assessment minus $1,000, minus $2,000, you do not get the mortgage. So you're almost better off being zero than being negative.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
No
Thanks,
problem,
Mohammed.
Mohammed.
Now we had a text a little earlier
Yeah.
from John that said, why would I want to pay more taxes if I don't need to? This is why I'm self-employed, and that's the kind of the outlook that a lot of people have on this. And you say you get clients like this all the time.
All the time, right? So the thing that you have to remember, I'm not telling people to pay more taxes than they need to pay. What I'm telling people is to be smart and to pay the taxes that are required for their lifestyle that they need. Okay? There's this I don't know, like I make the joke about Greek restaurateurs. I'm Greek, so I'm allowed to make fun of my people, whatever. So, I had this one guy, he comes in, he's like, Mr. Kilakos, look, I have beautiful restaurant. I make $2 million a year, but, I don't declare a lot. And it's like, okay, how do you like my Greek accent?
That's, it's not bad.
And then I look at his notice of assessment, it's like minus $1,000. And I'm like,
what are you doing?
Dude, what's up with this? It's okay. No, it's not okay.
No.
Here's some money. Get it done for me. No.
Get it done for me.
take your money,
right,
go pay the government, and do things properly.
Yeah.
For the love of God, like, you have to be smart, because you got to remember, the government will come and bite you.
Exactly.
Right? Because if you're buying something that you theoretically can't afford,
it raises a red flag.
it'll raise a red flag. It'll raise a red flag. Absolutely.
Now we're getting more texts. Do you want to do that, or do you
Sure,
want to go
let's
into?
go.
Okay, a couple more texts.
Yeah.
What do we have? We have hi Terry and Chantal. I'm 25. What do you think the rate will be next year? Planning to buy a condo. Want to have my max cash possible, down possible. JJ.
Yeah. So rates. I think they're going to probably plateau. I mean, we've seen the bond market. It's kind of like been shooting up over the past little while. We saw rates like they spiked up like crazy. This last year, kind of in the summer, my 5-year fixed rate was like at 235, and now they've spiked up to like the low threes. So in some cases, they've gone up almost a full percentage point. Whether or not that's going to continue, that remains to be seen. My school of thought is always, whenever you see a movement in a market in any one direction that's very abrupt, there is a correction. Okay, so the bond market has spiked. Chances are there's going to be a correction, which will lower interest rates. Okay, when that's going to happen remains to be seen. There is the Bank of Canada that's supposed to be meeting next month. They're supposed to, there's rumors that they might be raising rates, but all the indicators are pointing that they won't. Right, so the actual, when you look at the indicators, they're saying that the rates are going to remain stable for the time being, and GDP and all that stuff is actually decreasing from previous years.
Right.
So I think that probably the rates next year are going to be the same as this year. So
Okay,
I
good.
don't think you'll have a problem with that.
Hi Terry, I own a house. I have about $150,000 equity in the house. I make about $80,000 a year. My wife makes about $30,000. We're looking to buy a second property, a house to rent out. We have about $40,000 cash to put down. Do you think we'd have a problem getting a mortgage of about $200,000?
So the incomes are good for a mortgage of $200,000. Obviously, I mean those incomes will make, they'll qualify for much more than that. The important thing is how much their payments are. Because you can owe $10,000 on your house, but have, $2,000 a month payments, right? Which then would actually offset, stop you from being able to qualify for a mortgage.
Right.
Right? So it all depends on what their mortgage payments are on their current property, and the new house that they're going to be buying, what the rental revenue is going to be. So if the rental revenue is sufficient, and the property kind of pays for itself, it could possibly work.
Okay, with our last 2 minutes, you want to handle another? The questions are coming in fast
Yeah,
and furious.
I know. If I miss any of the questions, what we'll do is you guys can call us at the office.
Yeah, exactly. So let's deal with Jay's. My question's a bit off topic, but wondering if I can transfer money from my pension plan into an RRSP, example, $20,000 to buy my first home, because I don't have much in an RRSP, and I was always told to put as much as you can of your salary into a pension plan from work.
So it depends on the pension plan that you have, but typically pension plans, when they're transferred into a locked-in retirement account, and a locked-in retirement account is just that, locked in. But there are cases where pension plans are not locked in. So the employer does allow you to actually use it as an RSP for first-time home buyers.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What are we doing next week?
I have no clue.
Okay.
What are we doing next week?
Knows
the
if there's
producer.
something happening next week. You can come.
What are we talking about? There's someone that's coming on coming to the show.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Well,
I have like the next three. I have like the next 3 shows planned, but I don't remember which one's next week.
You know what? We have so many more topics. We could even keep going after the radio show on Facebook.
Yeah,
Marav
definitely.
found out she's signing to you.
Oh yeah, I remember what
What?
we're talking about. She's like.
She's miming.
Next week, we're going to have Jamie Benizri from Legal Logic, who's going to come in and talk to us about brokerage contracts.
Yes.
And what it means when you actually sign a brokerage contract or a mandate for home, when you're buying or selling your house.
Right.
There you go.
So that's it.
That's what we're
it for
talking
us.
about.
Getting a mortgage when you're self-employed. You can go to Terry's Facebook page and you can watch the whole show over again if you missed part of it. You can give him a call at Northeast Mortgages at 514-680-4674. That's it for us. Goodbye, guys.
The opinions expressed in the preceding program were provided for general information purposes only and should not be construed as advice from CJAD 800 or Bell Media. Listeners should always consult their own real estate agent with questions or concerns. The proceeding was sponsored content.
What'd you break
Am I
there,
hot?
Terry?
Okay, so I have a problem. I think that I'm jinxed every time I come in here because literally I touch things and they just.
Well, you are like a bull in a china shop. Like, you just come in and you just like.
Did you know that I'm actually a Taurus? My birthday is April 25th.
You know what? That's
go.
not a surprise at all.
Yeah, so there you go. Look, boom, buttons broken.
Boom.
Anyways, but look, okay, just to let you look. Okay,
Marab wants us to say goodbye, but I'm having a good time. I've got nowhere to be. Why don't we keep it going?
And look, it's good. Okay, the button's there. It's fine.
And we have so many other topics that we could talk about on this one, this main topic. Like, we could give the people like a few other little like snippets if you want.
Maybe we'll have like a part 2 to this.
Oh, part 2, probably, right? Because I feel like people are texting like crazy.
Yeah. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually, don't forget, okay, newsonthego.ca.
Right.
Don't forget to subscribe. Because we will be giving out cash. There was actually, I'm noticing on my phone here, there's actually a few people that have already subscribed, and the contest is going to be in a couple of weeks. It's going to be very interesting. Looking forward to it. Like I said, hold on, gotta get it out again.
Show me the money.
I don't know where my money is.
You should make it fly like they do in the rock videos. So. Just do it. That's not flying. That's just kind of a waving.
No, I'm not
That's a
flying
wave.
the money. Like,
is it only because there's 150 and the rest are actually just pieces of paper? They're not even
there's
bills.
Like 150. There's another 50.
The rest is Canadian
there's
Tire
like
money.
20s. Okay, there's all kinds of stuff in here, and there's like some U.S. money in here also.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, so.
Great. Okay, well then look forward to winning all your money.
All right.
I can't
good.
enter though, right?
You could enter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Enter. Why not?
Good. Thanks,
Absolutely.
guys. See you next week.
Peace.
Bye.